Every food company and food service provider has a food safety culture. And within a healthy food safety culture, everyone does the right thing, even when no one is watching. All employees should feel empowered to speak up and take action if something's not right. Leaders should recognize and support individuals that take action and escalate as necessary. A positive, mature food safety culture can help reduce food safety incidents. But food companies can't do this alone. A safe, secure, and reliable food system needs deep collaboration across all stakeholders. As you watch the following story, consider these questions. How strong do you think the food safety culture is at your company? How could it be made stronger? And what is your role in nurturing a stronger, positive culture every day?
Mom was, of course, many things. She was my mom. She was a grandmother to 5 kids. She was a wife. She was a sister. She was a best friend. But I think everyone would agree that Mom just exuded love. That was Mom's greatest joy in the world, was that someone would hug her and she could give her love to someone. She loved putting people around her table, and she loved experiencing new things. Mom was first diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer in mid-October. 5 rounds, I think, of chemo, and then surgery if that was still needed. And then day 2 after chemo, by the end of that day, she started getting a little tired. And I could see as she was getting kind of weaker that she needed hydration and she needed food. So I went into the kitchen and prepared a plate of some of her favorite food. And she took a nibble of everything. I couldn't really get her eat too much, but she ate a little bit of all of it. She kind of drifted off to sleep, and then she declined very quickly within just a couple of hours. Couldn't rouse her. She couldn't talk. I couldn't get her to really open her eyes intentionally or communicate. So the ambulance took her to the emergency room, and we were trying to figure out what was going on when, again, she became unresponsive. And so they intubated her, the breathing tube and feeding tube, and she went to ICU. And the doctor came and said the test had come back for Listeria meningitis. So she stayed on IV and got a lot of antibiotics. And then to our surprise and our delight, she awoke. As she continued to gain strength, I decided to return back to my home, and she went to a rehabilitation hospital to regain strength to walk. And it was there on the second day that my dad left to grab some lunch. And when he came back, she had gone. And we think it was just too much for her body to go through all of that, certainly starting with the chemo and then the extreme impact and treatment for the Listeria meningitis. Every death is a loss, right? All of us grieve someone we love, but grieving someone who died of a preventable accident hits differently. Not only because it could have been prevented, but it brings with it a responsibility of preventing other situations like that. I feel compelled to tell this story because I want everyone who picks that cantaloupe up at the farm, who sends it to the packing shed, who transports it at the proper temperature, who might wash it or cut it at the store, who might serve it in their house. I want everyone on that chain to remember that people like my mom are on the other end, and everybody who has a job that they value where they are putting these meals together. Those meals are more than just meals. Meals are our sustenance. They are what bring us around the family table. They are what give us break throughout the day. They are what give us nourishment. And it is vitally important that those are safe, because if they aren't safe, nothing else about them matters.
This story is an example of how food safety can impact real families. Working for a food company, we are all responsible for the safety and quality of our products. Consumers depend on us. Whether you work directly or indirectly with food, you have a responsibility to understand your role in food safety. What we say and do can either strengthen our food safety culture or quickly erode it. Your actions and choices make a difference, and by working together, we can prevent foodborne illness.
This story is a powerful example of why food safety is so important and will help you reflect on the questions posed at the beginning of this video. How strong do you think the food safety culture is at your company? How could it be made stronger? And what is your role in nurturing a stronger, positive culture every day?